From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Lisa Laporte. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the wildfires in Jasper National Park have been devastating. She also says she has fond memories of the park and town site, which have both been ravaged.
And so although those of us who experience Jasper as visitors can't imagine what it feels like to be a Jasperite right now, we share this sense of loss with all of those who live in the town, who care for it, and who have helped build it.
Officials have not yet provided details on the extent of the damage, though photos from social media show a hotel and other structures have burned down. Some 25,000 people were evacuated from the Alberta community on Monday. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is blaming a national rise in crime and the recent killing of an Ontario teenager on what he calls failed Liberal and NDP policies. The opposition leader raised the issue in London, Ontario today, one day after the community held a vigil for Brianna Broadfoot, who police say was a victim of intimate partner violence. Poilievre says the suspect had been arrested before but was released ahead of the fatal attack on the 17-year-old.
She is just the latest victim of the radical NDP wacko catch and release justice system.
Poilievre promises he will reform the bail system if his party forms government. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston says he was told he'd be a lightning rod for protesters if he walked in this year's Halifax Pride Parade. When asked to elaborate after today's cabinet meetings, Houston said some in the crowd might have become upset if the parade would have been stopped because of his presence there, but didn't say which protesters would have forced the parade to stop. Houston issued a statement earlier this week saying he didn't attend Halifax Pride because RCMP had warned him about safety concerns. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris told Republicans to bring it on as she spoke to the American Federation of Teachers today in Houston. Harris criticized Republicans for their views on gun control and public education.
So we want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. Can you imagine?
It's Harris's latest stop in her whirlwind debut as the Democrats' likely presidential nominee. And tens of thousands of fans have descended upon San Diego for Comic-Con International. The comic book and pop culture extravaganza opened for a preview last night and runs through Sunday. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Canadian women's soccer team has opened the Paris Games with a 2-1 win over New Zealand in Group A action. Meantime, French law enforcement agencies are working around the clock across Paris to ensure the safety of the Olympic Summer Games ahead of tomorrow's opening ceremony. ABC's Maggie Rulli is there.
There are police cars and police on every single corner, on every single public transit. And then you have this elaborate system of barricades, QR codes, passes, even just to access the main parts of the city. This is being called the largest deployment during peacetime of security forces ever in the country's history.
Paris is deploying some 30,000 police officers each day of the Olympics, with a peak of 45,000 for the opening ceremony. It's a battle of division leaders in the CFL tonight when the Montreal Alouettes play host to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. From the Canadian Press, I'm Lisa Laporte.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.